Imagine a truck that went from technical requirements to its first prototype in just 4 months, and then stayed in service for decades. A truck built behind the Iron Curtain, yet used in more than 70 countries around the world. A truck people called awkward, loud, and uncomfortable, and still loved like an old friend. Today, we're talking about the Praga V3S, one of the strangest and most durable trucks in automotive history. To understand why the V3S was created, we have to go back to post-war Czechoslovakia. The country had just come out of the Second World War. Its army was left with a wildly mixed fleet of vehicles, machines from different countries, different years, and built to completely different standards. Keeping that chaotic collection running was difficult, expensive, and, from a repair point of view, almost impossible. The General Staff set a clear requirement. The Army needed one unified, all-terrain truck. It had to be easy to maintain, reliable in any conditions, and simple enough for military service. The project was given to Praga in Prague. The Praga brand had been building cars, motorcycles, trucks, and military vehicles since the early 20th century. The experience was there, but time was desperately short. The engineers had only 4 months to go from technical requirements to the first prototype. For comparison, today, developing a production vehicle can take years. They drew inspiration from everywhere: the American Studebaker US-6, the Soviet ZIS-151, and Czechoslovakia's own engineering experience. But the Czechs did not simply copy someone else's truck. They took proven ideas and added something of their own. The first prototype appeared in 1952, and on April 2, 1953, the first production series of the V3S rolled off the assembly line at the factory in Prague's Vysočany district. And this is where the story gets really interesting. The engineers gave this truck what are known as portal axles, a design where the axle sits much higher than the center of the wheel. That one technical choice gave the V3S enormous ground clearance. It could climb a 75% grade without needing another vehicle to pull it. It could ford water up to 80 centimeters deep, about 31 inches. It could drive over obstacles up to 40 centimeters high, around 16 inches. In forests, fields, and mud, it could keep moving where many ordinary trucks would struggle. At the heart of the machine was the Tatra 912-1, a 6-cylinder air-cooled diesel engine with a displacement of about 7.4 liters and roughly 90 to 100 horsepower, depending on the version. And that air cooling was important. No antifreeze, fewer problems with a frozen cooling system, easier maintenance in field conditions. This kind of engine could handle cold, heat, and dirt far better than many more delicate designs. The truck had 10 wheels, 2 at the front and 8 at the rear, mounted in pairs. That helped it spread its weight and avoid sinking into soft ground. Its payload was 3 tons off-road and 5 tons on paved roads. Top speed was only about 60 kilometers per hour, roughly 37 miles per hour. And here's the trade-off. The same portal axles and gear ratios that gave it incredible off-road ability also limited its speed. It was a deliberate sacrifice. And for the Army, it was worth it. When I first saw a photo of the V3S, one thing immediately struck me. This truck looks like it was drawn by a child. A tall, angular body. An almost square cab. Awkward wheel arches. Nothing unnecessary. Not even the slightest hint of design for the sake of design. And that is exactly what makes it honest. There is no disguise here. The truck tells you right away, I am a working tool, not a showpiece. Drivers who worked with the V3S often said the cab was incredibly noisy. The steering had no power assist, so off-road driving could turn into a real physical workout. And the suspension was not exactly built for comfort. But the truck kept moving where others stopped, and in the end, that mattered more than anything else. The V3S quickly moved beyond the borders of Czechoslovakia. It eventually appeared in more than 70 countries around the world. During the Cold War, Czechoslovak military equipment was actively exported to the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and other countries of the Socialist Bloc: Egypt, Cuba, Syria, Libya, Iraq. The V3S and vehicles based on it served in different armies and in different conflicts. During the Suez Crisis of 1956, British and French forces did encounter Egyptian equipment from the Eastern Bloc, including rocket launchers of Soviet or Eastern European origin. But the story of the Praga V3S in the Middle East was much bigger than one conflict. This truck became part of a much larger wave of Czechoslovak military exports that spread far beyond Europe. But the most interesting transformation came in the late 1950s. Czechoslovak engineers took a heavily modified V3S chassis, added an armored cab, and mounted a twin 30mm anti-aircraft gun on top of it. That is how the M53 59th was born, nicknamed Jasterka, meaning lizard. It was a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun that saw service in Iraq, Libya, Egypt, and even during the Yugoslav wars of the 1990s. An ordinary truck had become the foundation for a fighting vehicle. And the V3S was not only used for military transport. It became an ambulance, a fire truck, a crane truck, a radio vehicle, a mobile laboratory, and even a sewage service truck. The same basic chassis carried dozens of different bodies and special purpose conversions. That is what real versatility looks like. Production of the V3S lasted from 1953 to 1990, a total of 37 years. During that time, the truck was built by 3 different manufacturers, first by Praga itself, then by the Avia factory in Letnany, and in its final years by Baz in Bratislava. In total, around 130,000 vehicles rolled off the production lines. That makes the V3S the longest produced Czechoslovak truck in history. The Czechoslovak army used these machines for more than half a century. They only began to be phased out on a large scale in the 2000s, when they were replaced by more modern Tatra 810 trucks. Today, the V3S is living a second life. In the Czech Republic and Slovakia, there are enthusiast clubs where people restore and preserve these trucks. In museums and private collections, you can still see both the Praga V3S itself and other vehicles from the legendary Praga brand. Online communities around the world share photos, restoration tips, and stories about keeping these machines alive. And you know what is most surprising? Some V3S trucks are still running today. In the forests and fields of Central Europe, these old trucks are still doing their job. Quietly, without unnecessary words, just as they always have. This was not just a truck, it was a lesson that true reliability may be the best design of all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories like this ahead.